Thank you so much for joining our preseason track recap and preseason cross country virtual event tonight. My name's Addie Driscoll, and I'm the assistant director of our athletic development team here at Davidson. Just want to take a moment to say thank you so much for joining us. I know it's a busy week as students are moving in and kind of settling in, getting ready for classes and all that, but we appreciate you taking the time here. In a second, I'm going to turn it over to our director of our men's cross country and track and field program, Matt Stuck. He's going to kind of recap the track season. And then Jen Straub, our director of our women's program, will share a little bit about our upcoming cross country season. And finally, we'll open up to a Q&A session. So at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a little question mark inside of a box. Go ahead and think of questions throughout this time and feel free to use that or the chat to share your questions too. But at this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Matt Stuck. Matt, go ahead and share a little bit about the track season and what's been going on this summer.
Yeah, I mean, another great year for Davidson track and field. Lots of kind of great performances throughout the year. I would say since the last time we had one of these meetings during the indoor season, pre-indoor A10 championships, I believe. I mean, lots of school records broken, lots of people placing well in conference. I'll just kind of ramble through some of the key ones. I mean, we're talking about championship meets. I think the best place to start is with Jaden Smith. He went four-time conference champion, 110 hurdles. Men's 4x8 did really well with a flurry of different people from different classes. So we actually had one freshman, one sophomore, one junior, one senior on our men's 4x8 that did pretty well, broke the school record. A couple of freshman throwers that did exceptionally well. Eddie Brown placed in shot. John Teachman won jav, qualified for U20s. Peter Darst placed in men's high jump. Kind of some of the big updates for the men's team. And then as far as the women's go, kind of had the dynamic duo of Michaela Wills and Aaliyah Gasalti-McCready in the hurdle events. They won both first. They took first and second place in women's 60 hurdles, did the same thing outdoors in 100 hurdles. Aaliyah now has a school record in 400 hurdles and got scored in the 5K, both indoors, outdoors. Molly Sullivan took second in steeplechase, has a school record in that. Really good performances from both 4x8 indoors and outdoors for the women, with 3 underclassmen on the team. Steffi was a freshman scorer in women's long jump. Summer was a scorer in women's discus. First score in a women's throwing event since I've been at Davidson, so that's good that we're moving in the direction with our new facility, having all of the throws facilities. We're kind of moving in a direction where we're getting more throwers to score, which is awesome. Riley and Hannah both scored in the women's HEP. Hannah also scored in the women's pent indoors. Bella was a freshman scorer in women's vault. Kind of the reason I wanted to ramble all those things off is you can just see that our program is very well rounded. We have people scoring in a lot of events. We have people breaking school records in a ton of different events. And it makes track really fun, where it's not just, oh, this group's doing really great, this group's doing really great. I really feel like we kind of have a complete track and field team, which makes, events like the Davidson home meet, Davidson relays like really special and fun, where there's people doing great things in all the events, not just kind of one area, which seems to be a trend that, Division I programs are moving towards. So we're going to kind of flash through a couple photos from Davidson relays while we're kind of chatting about some of the track and field stuff. So I kind of mentioned records being broken. So on the women's side, lots and lots of records broken. Jocelyn did 600 indoors. Summer had a piece of both weight and hammer throughout the year. Ashley has a freshman, has both our indoor and outdoor shot put records. Michaela has our 100-meter hurdles record. She was a freshman last year. Steffi has our long jump record as a freshman last year. Aaliyah has our 60 hurdles and 400 hurdles records. Molly steeplechase, Riley in the het. Kind of see the dynamic duo there in that photo. And then records on the guys' side. Obviously, John Teachman, freshman in jazz, won conference, placed well at U20s, has a jab record. Jaden broke his own conference record in 110 hurdles, and then the guys 4x8 broke the record for that as well. So yeah, lots of good stuff going on there as far as records and whatnot. I thought Davidson Relays went really well for its first year. I mean, that's probably maybe one of the things that I'm most proud of was how well Davidson Relays went off. Lots of compliments from other coaches, which is always a point of pride in the meet hosting world. When other coaches are happy, it's really a good thing. And just kind of using the new facility and having so many alumni, parents, recent graduates coming around for that meet had really great energy and was a really exciting event for us. But yeah, I mean, I would say that's a pretty good place to recap for track season. And then kind of last note on track season was just kind of GPA wise. The men's team had one of their best academic performances in school, or well, since I've been here. If you've been on a couple of these Zooms, you know, a couple of years ago, the men's total team GPA was pretty not great. Something like 3.0 or 3.1. Both the cross country and track teams were at 3.7 this last semester or last year as a total. So really moving in the right direction there, which is obviously, you know, great at a school like Davidson. I think that's all I really have. If I can turn it over to Jen to kind of recap some of, you know, women's academic stuff and then head into cross country for this year.
Yeah, sounds great. I also want to echo Coach Struck and thanking everybody who was able to attend Davidson Relays for the first time. That was a really successful meet and one that was filled with a lot of energy and excitement. And I was really, really in such a great mood the whole day to see how much support we got for that first meet in 20 some years. So if any of you in the audience was able to attend, thank you so very much. And in terms of the GPA, the women's cross country and track team have been very consistent for the last several years, 3.5 and above. And we really take a lot of pride in that. It's a very good recruiting thing to talk about. It makes the parents of recruits excited that we take academics very seriously. And so we're going to continue to push that tradition and really encourage our student athletes to stay motivated in the classroom as well as on the track. And as we look to this cross country season, I'm speaking for the women's side, we are going to be a very young team. We have 9 freshman distance runners coming in, and we have a very small senior class, but we're going to be led by a very strong senior captain, Molly Sullivan, who finished second in the steeple at A10s. I think she's going to lead quite a strong group that's going to develop over the season. And I think we'll get better each week. This summer, my training plan was a little bit less intense with the hopes that we'll peak at the right time at A10s and regionals. And I think Coach Alden on the men's side has a young team as well. And I think they're going to get better week to week as well. But I'm super, super excited over the last 2 recruiting classes we've had. The energy is really great. And I think the combination of the 4 years will make us really a strong team, especially in about 2 to 3 years.
Awesome. Thanks, Jen. Thanks, Matt. At this time, we're going to open up for Q&A, and I have a few questions already started. So either Coach Matt or Coach Jen, feel free to unmute and answer it. as you see fit. First question, what does a typical week of training look like during the season? So Coach Straub, if you want to talk about what that looks like for cross country, and then Coach Stuck maybe for track and field when that season starts up.
Sure. So for the women, our cross country week, depending on race day, either Friday or Saturday, we typically will run 2 morning workouts that are at the harder level. That's usually on Tuesday and Friday on a non-race week. And then that will vary on a Friday race week. We like to do the 2 morning workouts in September and early October to avoid the extreme heat. But on the other days of the week, we will practice in the afternoon. And then we will also do our lifts in the afternoon, no matter what time we practice during the day. Once the temperature cools off a little bit, we will have all afternoon practices starting at 4:30, and it's pretty much straight through the year after that. We are consistent in the weight room at least 2 times a week, and we do a lot of cross training, cross country, either the Peloton, in the pool, or any other cross training that the female athletes want to do to increase their aerobic capacity without too much pounding. And Coach Alden on the men's cross country team, his schedule is pretty similar to mine, other than the fact that he doesn't always practice in the morning twice a week, but he does vary it sometimes. Otherwise, he'll start in the afternoon at 4:30 as well.
Yeah, then on the track side, bit different. I mean, so we're talking about leading into the fall. Usually, both of the groups, the shorter, power groups that Zach and I both coach, we kind of work on a main 4-day a week, 4 big days a week schedule where we do kind of speed and power skill stuff on Mondays, Thursdays. So if, hurdlers, jumpers, sprinters, like we're doing fast stuff on Monday, Thursdays, followed by some track specific strength work. So maybe some plyos, maybe some partner pull pushes, maybe like some sled work. And then on Tuesday, Fridays, we have kind of our what would be traditional track workout. So if we're doing, repeats, if we're doing cut downs, kind of getting that work in, and then we hit the weight room Tuesday, Fridays, following the workouts. Kind of weight room breaks down into 3 blocks where we're kind of doing our explosive strength work first. So Olympic lifting, weighted jumps, moving light weights fast, followed by our strength block where, load up a little bit more, kind of moving some heavier weights a little bit slower, kind of building that strength base. And then, our last block is really kind of working through some of our injury prevention stuff. So obviously, some hamstring development, glute development, foot, ankle, knee kind of strengthening, making sure we're not, getting beat up. Track and cross country seasons are super long. I mean, we start training as soon as we get to school. We continue training all the way through the beginning of May for most. So making sure that we're, staying healthy and being able to train consistently over that time is the real secret to success. You're not going to win any battles in one day where, it's pretty hard to not get better if you train pretty consistently for 4 years. And that's kind of the outlook we take is, get better every day, but we also need to be training consistently over time if we want to see any like long-term improvements.
Great, thank you. Next question, is there any preliminary schedule for the indoor track season?
Oops. Yeah, I can talk about this a little bit. I think a majority of our schedule for track will look pretty similar to the last couple of years. I think we're pretty happy with how our schedule looks for the most part. Distance crews will still head up to Boston this year, which is a big meet for them. We'll still have Liberty on the schedule. I think we're going to get South Carolina back in the mix. I think the one big change is for indoors is JDL moved from a flat track to a bank track, which is about an hour away from us. So I think we'll end up there a little bit more often because the race surface is going to be better. You're going to be able to get some good performances there. Some good programs are going to be excited about just like a new track in the area. So they'll, have some pretty good meets there. So I think that will get introduced back into our schedule a little bit more. Just because it's close, we want to be able to, keep the travel stress away from the athletes for the most part, where we already have enough stress from class and training. We don't want to add travel stress on top of that too often. We obviously have to do it in some instances when we're like going up to Boston and certain things like that, where the benefits outweigh the negatives. But having another track that's in the area that should be pretty fast should help us out from a competitive standpoint.
Awesome. And then a follow-up to that, do we have a date for the Davidson duel, or I'm sorry, the Davidson relays coming up this spring?
We do. I don't have it written down. I want to say it's the 28th, if I'm not mistaken. But don't quote me on that one. It's going to be the same weekend it was last year. So it coincides with Raleigh Relays weekend. That's kind of the whole point of it, I guess, is we want to kind of coincide with Raleigh Relays, where the other academic schools in the area that can't miss a bunch of class, because Raleigh Relays is pretty much like a Wednesday through Saturday kind of deal. The other, highly academic schools in the area or other programs that can't miss classes, we want to kind of provide a service that, people can come to our meet. It's a high quality meet. It's on a high quality track. And it's, not a whole week long adventure. So the athletes aren't missing a bunch of class that early in the season.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. We're looking forward to that. Another question, and Jen, maybe this one could be for you. Are all the cross-country athletes running track in the spring? And do you have any crossover with athletes from other teams who also participate on your team? So either cross-country or track.
Thank you. Typically, cross-country runners will run all 3 seasons. I haven't really had an athlete who did not do all 3 seasons. It seems to be what they want to do. And typically when I recruit, if you are a cross-country runner, I typically would love to utilize you for the distance events and indoor and outdoor track for sure. And in terms of dual athletes, one of our best athletes, Aaliyah, who just graduated, was an A10 all-conference athlete in the hurdles, I think 3 out of the 4 years. And she also was an outstanding soccer player. She was nominated for the A10 Woman of the Year. And so that was a clear distinction for a dual athlete. I've also had a tennis player run cross country for us. In fact, it was the first time we won the Southern Conference years ago. She was very talented in both tennis and running. And we've had a volleyball player high jump for us, and she won the A10 outdoor championship. So, it's fun when we can get those athletes that can cross over and do 2 sports, and we're not against it at all. We're very willing to work with other coaches, and it's kind of a lot of fun as well. So thank you.
Next question. First, the athletic GPAs were amazing. Congrats to your scholar athletes and all the coaches for your programs. How many times are the cross-country athletes traveling in the fall and still completing their courses as well?
So what we love about cross-country season is it's not a very travel-heavy season. We have 5 meets before regionals, and 2 of them are just a 1-day meet, and the other ones we will travel for the night, but we leave after class. And so we typically try to make sure we don't miss class in cross-country season. So I think in terms of if you're talking about the difference in intensity of missed classes or GPA, I think cross-country season, and for the track athletes that are training in the fall, that's really the easier of the 2 semesters. And, we've been really consistent with cross-country GPA matching what they bring to the track GPA as well.
Thank you. All right, next question. Let's see here. What are the program's largest needs for this upcoming season?
Is that a trick question?
Not a no, not a trick question.
Well, I think always, at least speaking for the women, we love to be able to go to Boston like twice. And so what typically happens is I can take a small group, the first Boston meet, and a little bit bigger group, the second Boston meet. It's a super fast track. We typically get our fast heat qualifiers at those meets for the A10 championships. So being able to fly to that, a few more people to those meets are an expense that we'd like to be able to have a cushion in that because it is expensive to fly to Boston. Meals are more expensive, hotel, etc. Also, I always like to be able to provide another piece of cross training equipment in our new locker room area so that they don't have to, fight with the student population in the other areas with the cross training equipment. And just, of course, the rest of the new facility needs like more hurdles and eventually some new steeple barriers. But the asks are always a lot, but anything is appreciated. So maybe Matt can add more.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit kind of the same thing for me where, obviously there's still some equipment needs from kind of the rollover of not hosting meets for 24 years. You kind of pile up a bunch of equipment needs. And obviously we want to be hosting the A10 championship in the next couple of years. And you want to be able to provide a, elite experience so that everyone wants to come back. I think realistically, if we do it right the first time we host A10s, we could get in a rotation of hosting outdoor A10s, every other year or every third year, which would be super great. Obviously, we're the southernmost school in the conference. So hopefully that gives us the best weather possible in early May. But yeah, I think some of the equipment stuff, obviously traveling to elite meets gets expensive. Jen and the distance crew love going up to Boston, elite track, very good competitions. I mean, obviously on the sprinter side, we kind of go the other way a little bit, where during outdoor season, we want to be able to get to, a Texas Relays, a Florida Relays, a Tom Jones Invite down in Florida, and do some of those things. Which obviously, if you have to hop on a plane to go to a meet, it starts getting pretty expensive pretty quick. So yeah, I mean, I think just enhancing the student athlete experience by going to some different meets is usually kind of the main goal if we have some, additional funding.
Awesome. Thank you. Next question. Will Davidson be able to host a cross-country meet ever again? Or what would the goal look like for hosting cross-country meets?
So that would definitely be something that I would love to entertain. Our current course on campus would not meet NCAA specs for hosting, but we're exploring other areas that have hosted college meets before and seeing if there's any potential for us to host at that venue. But then we're going to also be competing with the schools that use that venue as well as the high schools. So we are continuing to kind of brainstorm and try to think of creative ways to get that done. I've been talking to Coach Andrew, the men's coach, about it, and so we're looking at a couple areas, and we'll definitely keep everyone in the loop about that. But yes, I would absolutely love to be able to host a home meet.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I mean, kind of echoing what Jen said there is, yeah, I mean, kind of been a project for Coach Alden. I would say he's probably hustled a little bit more than at least me on that, where there are some parks in the area that are doing some renovations in the next couple of years. And we've kind of chatted with some of the, park staff and those kind of things to try to see if we could get, a cross country start line as a part of that renovation. I mean, that's really the tough part is if you want to host a big meet or a conference championship meet, you need to have, somewhere where there's roughly 400 meters straight, like leading into the start finish line. And kind of most of the, cross country courses in our area don't meet that standard at the moment. But yeah, I would say it's a continuing situation that we're looking into. I think we would love to, host a home meet where it's another event where we can kind of bring people back to campus. And it's another event where, our athletes feel, special and get another experience where they get to compete in front of friends and family and classmates. So hopefully in the next couple of years, we'll be able to kind of figure that out and, get some home meets going.
Great. Thank you. All right. With all the records that have been broken recently, are there training improvements that have helped your teams have that success?
Well, I think if you would talk to a lot of the coaches throughout the NCAA, one of the big things is the modernization of training shoes and competition spikes. They're really incredibly fast. These spikes have had the improvements in the running. And I know it doesn't seem possible that it's a technology issue, but it's a technology issue and trying to make sure the development for the athlete is consistent over 4 years so that they get better every year. And I think if the combination of all of those elements, if that, continues, I think we'll see more school records getting broken.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the spikes definitely make a huge difference. I would like to say that it's all just great coaching, but I don't think that's necessarily it. I think Davidson has a program, and I think we do a lot from a recruiting standpoint. Where getting better student athletes that are more focused on being good at both school and track. I mean, obviously we have brand new facility, we have a new weight room, we have great strength. Like I would say our staff as a whole has grown a lot in the last 5 years since I've been here, where we have an athletic trainer that's pretty much solely with our team. We have a strength coach that's pretty much solely with our team. We now have Madison that's doing sports psychology stuff. We use a massage therapist in town. So, I mean, we do have a lot of, people that are kind of helping with a lot of different things. And I think generally we have a pretty well-rounded program where we're doing a lot of things from different avenues to kind of elicit some more elite performances. So I think there's a lot of contributing factors. But yeah, I mean, hopefully we continue to do those things and we continue to see, record-breaking performances in all the different areas.
Definitely. Awesome. We have a few more questions here. Please don't be afraid to put your questions in the chat. Or if you have a fun story you want to share with coaches too, we could pass that along. All right, next question. Let's see here. There's been a lot of changes in the NCAA landscape. Could you talk briefly about how that's impacted your programs?
Well, I think first and foremost, the ability for anybody to enter the transfer portal is a little bit daunting because we always want somebody to have a 4-year experience at Davidson because I think the education is so imperative and also giving them the athletic experience. But now it's easy for kids to enter the portal whenever they want if they're starting to get better and maybe there's more money out there. And then with the added element of the NIL, name, image, and likeness, and other schools can offer a little bit more. So it's, really trying to hone in on who really wants to be at Davidson for the right reasons, the academics, what's that's going to provide for them down the road. And so, I'm not necessarily a fan of those changes, but, we just have to continue to do our best to find the people that want a consistent education and give them the best athletic experience they can have.
Yeah, I mean, NIL makes a big difference. Obviously, the transfer portal has been around for a few years now, but it's getting more aggressive every year, I would say. And then kind of the only other change that's really happening is roster limits, where tracks kind of got capped at 45 So the women's program at Davidson will have a cap at 45. The men's program will have a cap at 42 because of gender equity in Title IX. But yeah, I mean, I think the landscape's a little bit different where I think there are some pluses and minuses to it where, if the LSUs and Floridas and Oregons of the world can't have 90 people on their team, then there's going to be more, high quality athletes in the pool for everyone else, which I think is a bonus for, a program like us. But then there's also the developmental standpoint where, we've always kind of taken on athletes and really developed them over time and had some really good elite athletes come out of that system. And we can't necessarily, take the chance on everyone anymore, where we kind of have to, recruit the people that we think are going to be the best and make sure those people get better. Where we can't just kind of be like, oh, well, you really love running, you really love Davidson, we'll give you a shot. We have to be a little bit more kind of stern about our expectations and what we want.
Great, thank you. All right, next question. What's the best advice for a first-year D1 runner at Davidson?
Time management and not to try to do too many things at once. So, you're an eager freshman, you're away from home for the first time. It's like a kid in the candy store. They want to join this club, they want to join that club, they want to like hang out with their friends, they have to go to practice. So I always tell them to take a breath and just ease your way into the system, and you can do all the things that you want to do, but not all at the same time. So I always encourage freshmen to, slowly get into more and more, and then kind of weed your garden. What's more important to you eventually, making sleep a priority. And also, as a coach and a mother of two college graduates, I'm keenly aware of what I call the first 6 weeks are very tough. They can be homesick. It's very transitional. And when they come and sit down in my office and we chat about it, I said, this too shall pass. But as a coach, to recognize that this is a big move for these kids, and D1 athletics is very hard. So if we kind of let them know we understand this and we're here to talk to them about it, but just sleep, please sleep. Tell your freshmen, if your freshman parents out there, that 8 hours of sleep, take your vitamins, hydrate. It's going to help a ton. But we're always here for our student athletes, and we will try to advise them. But these are all normal emotions that they all go through. And I think it makes them feel good when I say, hey, this is so normal for a freshman. Don't worry, this too shall pass. And thank you, parents, for supporting that message at home as well.
That's great advice, Jen. Thank you. Matt, anything to add there?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I guess I would add to that is, time management's the number one factor, where if you're doing what you need to throughout the day so you can sleep at night, like that's going to be the number one factor. The only other thing is, yeah, just like keeping your priorities straight and knowing what is important to you, where, we tell a lot of kind of the younger athletes, like just have your priorities straight, where it should be, family and faith on the top. And then the next tier, you're looking at academics and then track and then everything else. And as long as you kind of keep those things in that order, like your academics are going to go really well, your athletics are going to go really well, you're going to, figure it all out. I mean, the people that we've seen struggle a little bit more, their priorities haven't been super straight, and their time management hasn't been particularly great. So as long as they kind of take care of those things, then they typically do pretty well.
Great, thank you. All right, just a few more here. What do you see as the role for parents and supporters?
So I think that the parents play an integral role in the sense of being the best support system for their student athlete in terms of, they're going to call home when they're feeling down. They're going to come to you if they feel like their race wasn't very good, or they're going to just have the normal struggles. And I think it's very critical that you don't try to fix their problem, but just listen to them. And then also, if you feel it's necessary to share any conversations with the coach with complete privacy, I think that can help us if you know something that we don't know that could, us subtly making some changes and trying to give a little bit more attention to your student athlete so that they feel supported. I know that in the past when parents have come to me and have shared things with me, I'm able to subtly give a little bit more attention and time and make sure that we're all on the same page. I think Davidson parents are amazing. I think they're very supportive, and you know, we don't mind any hard conversations as well. So um, just be there. We're here as their second set of parents, but you just be there for them and don't be afraid to have tough conversations with us if there's something that you need us to know.
Yeah, I mean, I think support is the number one factor for, people making a transition to college. Is, you know, things are going to be tough at some one point or another. Like they're going to have some things happen, and they're going to have some hardships. Workout doesn't go their way, test doesn't go their way. There's going to be some adversity there, and supporting them throughout that is always going to be a key factor. Um, but yeah, I mean, outside of that, I think, young, young, student athletes in general, like, need some guidance. And we talked about kind of time management, and we talked about kind of priorities, like making sure that they're keeping those priorities straight, and, the values that you've instilled on them throughout their first couple of years of college as they're kind of figuring out who they are in the world, is always good. I think it's a good thing to stay grounded and, understand where you came from and what values you have as you're kind of finding your place in, Davidson and then beyond.
Great. All right. Are there any fun stories from cross country or track and field grads of your program? And what are they doing now? If you both want to pick maybe one or two alums, maybe we'll do one alum each, just to be mindful of time.
So we were talking about dual athletes before, and so I have an alum that played field hockey, and then she switched over to cross country and track, and she ended up being a volunteer assistant for me. But the funnier story is that she ended up getting married to somebody that I knew at Wake Forest, that was a little bit more my age. And I was in their wedding at the age of 45. I was a 45-year-old bridesmaid. And now she has 5 beautiful children. And I'm the godmother of Max, her third born. And so I just was like, wow, this is crazy. Who would have thought that I would coach a field hockey player that turned out marrying somebody that we knew from Wake Forest, and that I ended up in her wedding, and that she babysat my children for a long time. And she's a dear, dear friend, probably one of my best friends. Her name is Ashley Colmy. And that just always tickles me. I also am very excited to go to a wedding of one of my athletes named AK and Catherine Kilby, and I will see a lot of the alums there, and I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the funnier stories, we were at South Carolina for an outdoor meet. Jaden just kind of had one of his like big breakthrough races, so he ran 13:99 in prelims, his first time breaking 14, and then came back in the final later that day and ran 13:58, I believe. So like super big breakthrough race, breakthrough weekend. And obviously everyone was super happy for him. And he was standing around kind of watching some races later in the day, next to this one fence. And there was 2 guys standing next to him, from a different team. and they were kind of talking about how that race was because Jaden beat a former or an All-American from the year before in that race. And he was like, oh yeah, did you see that guy from Davidson? He like really beat up on the South Carolina guy. And Jaden looks over to him and he's like, oh, I'm that guy. Like, I'm the guy you're talking about. And the guy looks over at him like dead in the face and was just like, nah, you're not that guy. And it was, I don't know, it was really funny. I was like standing next to him and the guy like totally didn't believe that Jaden was the guy that was in that race. And I don't know, Jaden's kind of got a little bit of a goofy personality sometimes. So like, I get that, but it was just really funny that the guy like didn't believe him at all when he was just like chatting about him right next to him.
Those are awesome stories. All right, our final question is a two-part question. First part is, what do you love most about coaching, and what are you looking forward to for your upcoming season? So, Jen for cross country or distance, and then Matt maybe specifically for track and field.
Oh gosh, what don't I like about cross country and track coaching? I mean, I have to tell you, I coached at Wake Forest for 8 years before I got my job here at Davidson. And Davidson is such a unique place. I've been here for 25 years, and it just it inspires me to try to be better every year because the student athletes are so non one dimensional. They're so interesting and great citizens and great humans. And they make me want to push myself to be better. And they're very willing to be coached and they want to get better. And I love that I can communicate with them in such a way that we can work as a team, but not every athlete has the same formula. And I wake up every morning with joy. I just love being a coach at Davidson. I don't know, there's something in the air here. It's so interesting when people come to visit. They always say how amazing the community feels. And I think that I echo that. And my husband's the golf coach, and we've been coaching here for so long together that we can't even imagine coaching anywhere else. And in fact, when offered other jobs, we have no interest. And so there's just something very special about this community. I don't always get it right. I'm not perfect. Not everyone thinks I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread, but I just absolutely love it and feel very supported.
Eddie, I got a little too caught up in Jen's answer there, and I kind of forgot what the question was.
Sorry, forgot to unmute myself there. Just your favorite part about coaching, what you love the most, and maybe something you're looking forward to this upcoming season.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason I got into coaching and like what I love the most about coaching is just seeing how excited people get when they like do something they didn't think they could do. So, I mean, that comes from a performance standpoint, obviously running times, doing, different techniques and things. But then also just like from a human standpoint where it's like, oh, I used to suck at math and now I'm great at it. Or, different situations like that. I really just enjoy when people get better at things and do things that they didn't think they were capable of doing, and kind of assisting along with that process. And then things we're looking forward to. I mean, I think both teams both men and women will grow a lot this year. I mean, we just both have pretty young teams right now. We have 7 upperclassmen on the men's team. So it's one of those things where I think the teams are going to grow a lot and kind of find their identity, where you see kind of every few years the team's identity changes a little bit and kind of the feel of the team changes a little bit. And I'm interested to kind of see how, this next generation of Davidson track and cross country kind of finds their identity and like how they develop through that.
Awesome. Well, I think that wraps up our virtual event. Just wanted to take a moment to express our gratitude once more for the amazing support from last year, from being at our home meets to being at away meets, to all the generous gifts we've received for both programs too. It is evident that this community is very strong, and we're grateful to have everyone part of this this next chapter, this next year with us. And with that said, I want to pass it back to Coach Straub or Coach Stuck for any final remarks.
Sure. I just also want to echo what Addie said. Thank you so very much for your support. I'm truly humbled and blessed to be a coach here. And like I said, I don't always get it right, but my heart's in the right place. And you all have amazing kids, and the alums have been amazing. So I hope to see you at some meets this year. And I'm always here for any questions via text or phone calls. And yes, just thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, we're excited for another season. I mean, we're excited to, have a bigger and better Davidson Relays coming up so that everyone has a awesome event to come back to. Hopefully we see lots of people kind of before that. Love to see some people at cross country A10s and indoor A10s. Lots of exciting things going on all the time, or just even, around campus. Got the new track, got the new weight room. Love showing, alumni around, and kind of connecting with people that were, previous track and field runners or cross country runners. I think that's a big part of Davidson, and what makes it special is kind of the people that came before and how supportive everyone is, and how, involved a lot of the alumni are. I would say tenfold compared to any school that I've ever been at. So very thankful for that, and, hopefully only better in the future.
Awesome. Well, thank you all again for spending this evening with us, and look forward to our cross-country team competing against Elon under the lights later this month. All right. Goodbye. Thank you all.